So, Jimmy, can you help me understand a little bit about where you grew up? Can I ask you some questions about your past?
Yeah. I grew up in Philly.
Okay. What was growing up like for you?
What was what?
What was growing up
I
like?
was very happy. I used to be so happy. I used to skip down the streets. And of course, the kids in Philly broke my balls until I stopped doing it. The kids on the corner, I would skip. I was literally that happy. And I have a lot of energy too. So kids would make fun of me, but that's Philly for you. You can't do a goddamn thing without getting your balls busted on the corner. It's like that's what happens in Philly. I don't know.
Dr. K, I don't want to interrupt at such a key moment, but I do want to just say, because I'm not sure how familiar your audience maybe is either with me or with Jimmy, but this is not staged. And I think it's important that we just mention none of this is staged. First, and I'm being serious here, this is not an act of any kind. We're just having a real conversation here.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was staged.
No. I know you don't think. I know you know it wasn't staged. But just for people, some people in your audience think this has to be staged. This is not staged. This is not staged.
Okay, sure. So Jimmy, let me ask you.
Apparently, I'm shocking the snowflakes.
Yeah. So Jimmy, so it sounds like when you were growing up, you used to like skip, and you said people would bust your balls for that. What is that? Can you help me understand what that means?
Well, I mean, I was so happy that I literally skipped down the street as a child, and the kids would make fun of me. It wasn't that big of a deal. I just stopped skipping down the street. I was still happier than a motherfucker, but I stopped skipping down the street. That's all.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a weird question. Like, so do you think that? I mean, how did you feel before? When you were skipping down the street and people would start making fun of you? Do you remember how you felt as a kid?
I didn't like it, but that's what happens when you grow up in Philadelphia. Everybody knows what you're doing. They see you. You hang on the corner. You got the girls, you got the guys.
Sure.
People break your balls. People break your balls.
I'm hearing that people would make fun of you, and that you sort of didn't like it, but that's life.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious, like. This is going to sound kind of weird, but do you think as a kid you would have preferred it if they didn't make fun of you?
No, because it taught me how to come back with snappy, witty responses to insults and shit.
I see. So
you got to be on your guard in Philly. You're hanging on the corner. You got to be able to hold your own.
Sure. So I'm hearing that it was kind of like you kind of grew up, right? So the school of hard knocks, like. It's sort of being street smart.
Believe me, I wasn't in some really bad neighborhood. I grew up in Roxborough. It's almost like the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
But I hung all over Philadelphia. I hung in some tough neighborhoods. I was in a boys' home when I was a child, and I would hang out with the kids in their neighborhoods. Kensington, Southwest Philly. I've been all over Philadelphia. They used to call me the rabbit.
What does that mean? You were in a boys' home?
Yeah, my mom put me in it was called St. Francis Vocational School. And you didn't have to be adjudicated, but I was doing a lot of stupid shit. I had gotten into drugs. I'd committed some crimes. My mother didn't know what to do with me. She put me in this boys' home. She thought she was helping me. Believe me, I had a fucking ball there. I didn't want to leave. But, you were allowed out in the community. You weren't, I had friends. I had... we went to concerts, like 50 of us. Like, I went to school in the area. I mean, I pretty much, Doc, I have fun. I literally have fun everywhere I go. Like, I have fun in jail. So, you know what I mean? Like, my number one goal is to have fun.
Okay. So can I ask you, Jimmy, so how old were you when you got put into the vocational school?
13.
And do you remember how you felt when your mom kind of put you in there?
Well, I felt abandoned, was very angry with my mother. I remember her crying, kissing me, and my dad going something like "fly right" or some shit, but that wore off very quickly. But like the con artist I was at that age, I kept kind of letting my mother think kind of letting her feel guilty. But within days, like I was having a very good time there. These were all kids my age. Like they put you on different divisions, and there were some really cool characters. You know what I mean? Like I liked a lot of these guys. They had a pool table,
Sure.
they had a ping pong table. I mean, I had fun there. I did. And I got sent to another place called St. Gabe's. That was a motherfucker. The Christian Brothers ran that. You had to stand in line for a punishment. Stand in line means you stand and face the wall for hours. And of course, I was always online.
So why did you get sent to St. Gabe's?
The court sent me there. And with the insistence of my mother. My mother thought that these places would help me. She didn't know what to do with me.
What was wrong? What did you need help for?
Well, I was doing drugs. I was committing crimes. She thought I was going to die early. So she told me she used to come to court and the judges were going to let me go. And I want them placed in, and they would listen to her. And I would get real pissed off at her. Now, this was as a child. As an older man now, I understand what my mother was doing. You understand? I agree with her. She just placed faith in agencies that, I don't know, probably made me worse. But, as a child, I fucking hated her.
So I'm kind of, what you're saying on the one hand makes a lot of sense. So can I just kind of repeat back what I've heard so far?
What?
So you kind of grew up in Philly, right? Like not like super bad situation, sort of suburbs, but you kind of hung out with some kids, went to some parts of town where you got made fun of. It sounds like you were sort of like a happy-go-lucky kid. And
I've been described as exactly that.
Yeah, and the kids on the street, like they kind of got you to stop being so carefree pretty quickly.
I just stopped skipping.
Sure.
And started being a comedian. I just started being a comedian.
Yeah.
They were calling me gay and this and that. I mean, it just teaches you to toughen up. That's all. I mean, you're living in Philly. You're on the corner. You can't be a pussy.
Sure.
You can't be skipping down the street. Let's put it that way.
And then somehow you kind of started getting into trouble with like drugs and some criminal activity and stuff.
Yeah.
And then your mom kind of shipped you off to one place. And then she kind of shipped you off, and it sounded like you kind of did what you were supposed to do, right? So,
see, here's the first thing they did. They took me to the Valley Forge Military Academy, right? They were going to put me in there, right? And there was no fucking way I was going to be a tin soldier, right? So the guy that runs the joint, he said, I want to talk to him privately. And he pulls me in a room and he says, listen, if you don't want to come here, we're not going to make you come here. He's like, I don't care what your parents say. He said, do you want to come here? I said, absolutely not. He said, okay. He had a little consultation with my mom and dad. We walked away.
How did you feel about that?
Great.
What? Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to ask you kind of a weird question. Do you have a sense of why you felt great there?
Because I didn't want to be a little cadet. You know what I mean?
Huh.
I didn't want to do that. Follow orders, march around, wake up at 5 o'clock. Fuck that. I was 13. What the fuck?
I see. And then how did it feel when the judge was ready to let you come home and your mom was like, we got to send him to St. Gabe's?
Well, when I was a child, that really pissed me the fuck off.
What pissed you off about that?
I'm watching because she wouldn't take me back. In other words, I got angry with her. And I would be in the cell with these kids from Kensington, where Kensington's like a real bad section of Philadelphia. It's it's where the men are men and so are the women. I mean, it's crazy. It's gotten even crazier. But these kids would do all kind of shit, like way worse shit than me. And their mothers and fathers would pick them up. Mine wouldn't. And I mean, as young as that was my thinking. I couldn't stand her. I fucking hated her. And my father behind her back would say, if it was up to me, this wouldn't happen, So he pissed me off too, because I thought he was a fucking snowflake. But, when I got older, I realized my mother was trying to help me. That's all. I was an asshole. I was a kid. I mean, I was immature.
Can I think for a second, Jimmy?
What's that?
Can I think for a second?
You don't need my permission to think.